Welcome to the Strategy Sherpa Show, a series of organic discussions between hosts David Chavez and a variety of notable business leaders centered around their most significant failures and how they handled those challenges, so listeners can learn from their most teachable moments and apply the lessons to their organizations. Now, here's your host, David Chavez.
Hey everyone, this is David Chavez. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show, and I got a great guest coming up in just a few moments. He's hanging out and waiting for me to introduce him. But before I do that, I'm going to talk about a few things. So last week I got bronchitis and I was out all week. That wasn't fun. Lying in bed and just with the shivers and everything, and I knew I had an ear infection and I did nothing about it, and it turned into bronchitis, which the next stage is pneumonia. So that wasn't fun, but I think I'm past it now. Then I go out on Saturday and I decide I'm going to cut this bush down in my yard, and whole bunch of spider webs came down, and I think one got me right underneath the cheek. So that wasn't good either. So I've been having some interesting days here, but wanted to talk a little bit about our events coming up because sure you don't care about my spider and my bronchitis. It's over with now. All right. So free webinar. We have Mastering Time Management on June 13th with Lisa Jane Vargas. Very good at organization and keeping yourself organized. Very good and informative workshop on prioritizing the things that are important. The next one, Scaling Up Workshop. Warren and I are doing that down in San Diego. Come and join us down there. Perfect time of year in San Diego. Make the weekend before, and then we're doing it on Tuesday, so you can hang out for a couple of days and maybe take in a little bit of San Diego. On July 18th, we're doing a peak performance coach just to explain what coaching is and what peak performance coaching is. It's a little bit different than just accountability coaching or executive coaching. This is just a lot more focused on increasing your performance. Last is July 30th. We have a webinar on financial forecasting and planning. Ted Servata and I are going to be doing that together. And we have a whole bunch more events on our website on assuredstrategy.com/events. Some of these are free. All the webinars are free. The workshops, actually, we charge for them. So you could just click on it and it'll give you all the information right there. All right, Tim Dantas, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, David.
All right, that's great. Yeah, I'm a lot better than I was last week. That's for sure. Laying in bed. You know, you lay in bed so much, your whole body aches from laying down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It can't be still.
Yeah, it's rough. So on Saturday, after I started feeling a lot better on Saturday, I got out there and did a little bit. But Friday, I was still a little hazy, but I was up and going. So here we go. Let's talk a little bit about your business. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and then tell us a little bit about your business. So tell us a little bit about your background first.
Sure. Like you said, my name is Tim. I started Mr. Pave a few years ago, right in the beginning of COVID. Perfect timing.
Yeah, time to start a business.
But prior to that, I was in medical device sales for many years. So not really a good segue from medical sales to paving, but it actually worked out pretty well. But that's kind of what I've done my whole life. I've been in sales, medical sales, financial sales. So I was able to quickly adapt, to paving, from applying different things from other industries that I worked in.
Yeah, you and I had met at Dave Ramsey's event in Dallas just probably about a month ago now, right?
Yeah, that's right.
A little bit over a month ago now, and really enjoyed that event. How did you enjoy it?
Oh, I thought it was great. It was our first time being there. It was myself and I took a couple of our leadership guys, and we are actually doing now a 10-week rewind of each person and kind of how are we going to apply that. Just so a lot of times you invest in things like that, and when you get back, you just kind of, okay, that was great. You know, you come back hyped up, and then you don't apply anything that you learned. So we're going through the process and meeting with some of the other guys, watching the videos, and then see how we can actually apply that to our business.
Oh, that's great. Great, great. And hopefully take a look at some of our events and see how they tie in. And you guys might want to watch our webinars because we have quite a few of them on different topics, and some of them covering some of the very things that we learned about. So yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. There was probably 3,800 people in the room. And it was a lot of energy there, was there not?
It was. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was incredible. And we just happened to sit next to two of the your team members, and we had a great time. And that's kind of how we got to meet you. So
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. They came up and said, there's this crazy guy that I need to talk to. No, I'm just joking. They didn't say that. They said, hey,
they
there's this
probably
guy
did.
that,
It's fine.
yeah. Oh, that's okay. There's a little bit of good and crazy, but I think
Yeah.
that when they talk to you, I think one of the things that they really fascinated them was what you do, and because you're not just a paving company, you do paving in the traditional sense. Like if I want a driveway put in, you'll put in that driveway for me. But where do you really specialize?
So a couple years into this paving journey, I found a niche into the utility market. So utility companies and uh, municipalities, every time they come in tearing up your streets and your driveways and your parking lots or sidewalks, I found this niche in there. There's like, man, there's a big gap. You know, you have your driveway companies, your small guys driveway companies, and then you have your very large scale highway paving companies that own their own asphalt plants. And in the middle, there was this like no man's land. Nobody wanted to do it. It was too small for the big guys, too big for the little guys. And we kind of went into this, middle market, and that's kind of where we parked. No pun intended.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. One of the things when you had told me what you do, one of the fascinating things, we have this checklist that we use with our clients called the Rockefeller Habits Checklist. And Rockefeller Habits number 6 is are you listening to your customers, right? And listening to what they're saying and adapting your business to their true needs, not all their wants, but their true needs. Like, because customers will want you to death. And it was really interesting because I was sitting there and I was listening to your story about the patchwork that you're doing. And you were telling me that no other paving company will really even touch it. And these utility companies were trying to find somebody that was reliable and good. And you really listened to what they were saying, and you've made a whole business around it, and you're expanding. Are you?
Yes. Yeah, and I think every business, no matter if it's paving or what, you need to be, like Dave says, if you're not growing, you're dying. And if you're not looking, I brought in a lot, well, paving in general is a very not as far as like when people look at us, they don't look as a very professional. They look as dirty guys who are getting on the street, right? Like covered in blacktop. And there's a big movement right now from people that come in from outside the market or even inside that are bringing professionalism, technology. They're bringing all of these things into the industry. Guys like Bill Stanley over in Connecticut, him and his team from American Pavement, and like they are modernizing our industry.
Uh-huh.
So for me, coming from medical, where it's very high level professional, you're dealing with neurosurgeons, you're dealing with all of these people. I said, well, let's implement some of our professionalism and technology into this industry and take care of our customers. So like, some of the problems were communication. Well, can we manage that? Well, like, hey, we're going to be there tomorrow. Let's just be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And just saying. So we listened to what was the issues that they had, and then said, well, let's just make sure that those issues are no issues anymore. And how do we do that? Either through showing up or technology or whatever it was. We wanted to make sure that their needs were met. So
Yeah. Yeah. And you said, when you were talking to me about it, you were saying just showing up and getting the job done has been really interesting to you, like, because they said that they had trouble getting people to just show up. I mean,
yeah.
so you're sort of advancing the business, taking it to the next level. Here you are, you're a medical sales guy. You get into this. It's a lot more technical than people think. Am I right or wrong?
You are completely right. You know, when I started, I mean, I started the business because I couldn't get people to show up at my house to get my driveway done.
Okay.
So that's how I got in. I said, man, like nobody's showing up. And then finally, when someone showed up, they were, said, oh, we're 4 or 5 months before we can come do it. And I was like, man, like nobody showed up. One guy showed up and he's 5, 6 months behind. Well, here's a market that probably could use some help. And so, that's why I even looked into the business. It was, everyone looks at it as a 1-star industry. And I said, if I can just be a 5-star company in a 1-star industry, I could definitely gain some market share. And one of those things was just showing up, like you said.
Yeah, and I like how you're talking about the trades in general, because we had the opportunity to have Mike Rowe there, and he talked a little bit about the trades, and that was probably really valuable for you. And one of the statistics he gave us, and it was really interesting, he said for every 5 plumbers, every time one retires, 2 come back. So 2 new come on for every 5 that retire. Crazy numbers, is it not? Yeah,
it's insane. And I think that's the whole trades industry is going that way. We deal with all these utility companies, and that's their biggest complaint. They can't find people to come work. Everyone wants to work remote. They want to work from behind a computer. Nobody wants to be out on the field or getting a shovel. Or so it's going to be a huge need. It is already, but it's going to be even a bigger need coming down the next few years. So
yeah, it's really, really interesting and fascinating. Well, hey, I just really appreciate you being on the show. You were expanding. You were telling me you're expanding. Where are you located at in the U.S.?
So we're in Lynchburg, Virginia, home of where most people know us by where Liberty University is located. And we have a location in Stanton, Virginia. We opened one last November down in Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads. And then we are in the process of opening one in DC. So as of now, just Virginia, but we're trying to capture all of Virginia. And then next we'll be moving down probably North Carolina and Maryland.
Oh, interesting. So you're a little further on the southern side than right now. You're heading into DC.
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Very good. Very good. So hey, it looks like our time has come to a breaking point. So we're going to come back, because on the Strategy Sherpa Show, we like to talk about business owners and what the biggest mistake they've made and what they had to do to overcome that. And you know what? When I started talking to you about it, when you and I met, you were just like rattling off and you had no problem talking about it. And I think that's really a humble trait. And we'll look forward to having you back in just a moment. We're going to take a little break and we'll be right back. This is Strategy Sherpa Show with Tim Dantas from Mr. Pave.
Welcome back to the Strategy Sherpa Show with David Chavez. Have a question for David or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show.
Hey, everyone, we're back. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show, and I am here with Tim Dantas, and he owns a company called Mr. Pave in Virginia. And we met not too long ago at a Dave Ramsey event, and we just clicked. I mean, it's right when I started talking to him, it was just like we could have probably talked for about 4 or 5 hours. because him and I just started sharing stories back and forth. And one of the things I loved about when I talked with you, Tim, like you were just so grounded when I said, "Hey, you ought to come on my radio show." And you asked me what it was about, and I said it's about the biggest decision, one of the biggest decisions you made, and how screwed up it really was. And you just started laughing at me, and you go, "Oh, I have plenty of those stories." And
Oh
I
yeah,
started. I said any entrepreneur has plenty of those stories, so it's whether they'll share them or not is the real key. So
yeah.
let's start off and talk a little bit about what happened with you.
I think for me, I think one of my biggest mistakes early on was just, I was a very confident sales guy, but I wasn't a very confident business owner. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like a freshman in high school, just kind of walking around nervous. So with that, I thought, oh, the best thing for me to do is try to bring on a partner that's experienced, that kind of knows things. And initially, I thought that would have been a great thing, but he had his own business. He wasn't, like I thought I was going to get a mentor, somebody who was going to roll up his sleeves and kind of go with me and put in the same intensity I was putting in, and that wasn't the case. And when that happens, it creates when your business partner doesn't put as much into it as you are, then it creates a pretty good friction. I think that's with any partnership. You want to kind of see that match. And
So let me ask you a question. Did you guys do a 50-50 partnership?
we did.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, it was almost 50-50. It was pretty close to 50-50, but it wasn't like exact.
okay. And so like you got into this partnership, and what did you find with him then? What was he doing?
For me, it was mostly like when there was, if the business had initially had succeeded and he had gone, just blown up, he would have been there, but as soon as we start catching on some real bad issues, he just went and focused on his main business. So for me, that's kind of how, and I was kind of left alone in there. And I think, if you're going to be here for the good, you got to be here for the bad. Like, help me walk through this. And that's why you were, asked to be a part in the first place. Is
Yeah.
you have 15, 20 years of experience, and I'm just kind of starting out on this. So I think trusting too much early on, and really not believing in yourself as an entrepreneur, I think was a big mistake for me, because I was willing to do whatever I had to do to get this thing off the ground and look at different options or anything like that. And think if I could go back, that's kind of what I would have done. Just trusting myself and kind of betting on myself instead of splitting down, liquidating, your shares to bring on partners to try to help you out.
So you had to work with this guy to get him out of your company. Is that a fair thing? Did
Yeah,
you have to
so
get him out?
it was actually like, so when we started, it was we started in the manufacture of asphalt. That's kind of how I got into it. And then this whole thing happened, and it wasn't really working, and he just left. I had to go and figure out how to get out of this hole, this massive debt that was all in my name. And that's when I kind of started Mr. Pave, after about a year that we had gone our separate ways. And I said, I need to figure a way to do this. And so it was dissolved already. So I didn't have to get him out, because the first go around, it didn't really uh,
Oh, so you
work.
actually you failed as a business then altogether.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
valuable resource. Love it. Love it. I'm sure it wasn't fun, but valuable information, right?
Yeah, it was probably the worst couple of years of my life. It put so much strain on your life, on your family. and financially, several months of no, I was working 3 or 4 jobs just to try to get out of the hole so you don't get lawsuits by people that you owe money. And uh, my wife had to go back to work. There's several months we didn't even have money in the bank. We had 3 kids to feed. We're selling everything in our house, looking at stuff that has barcodes just to go return and have some money for food. So it wasn't very fun time, but truly, I'm a man of faith, and I believe that God had a plan, for this whole thing. He was kind of preparing me to gift me Mr. Pave, and if he hadn't done that, if I just started the business and it took off, I think I would have put a lot of that on my shoulders, saying, "Man, I'm the best sales guy. I look what I've done." Where really we hit rock bottom, and then now we're doing really well. And it's like, if it wasn't for some type of intervention, and this, I believe it was God kind of stepping in and intervening. Then it's His glory, not mine. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love how you're talking about this. So God had a plan for you. All this stuff happened. It really challenged you, your wife, your family. And what you did is you started sitting back and thinking about what the gaps were in the market. And then,
mm-hmm.
so you went from manufacturing asphalt to, I'm sure you obviously owned a plant, probably
Mm-hmm.
some access to aggregate, things like that. And then you went over to the other side because you're trying to get your driveway paved and you can't get it paved. So
Correct. Mm-hmm.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it was really like, how do I get the most amount of money fast, like quicker here? And for me it was, let me go sell driveways and then sub workout. So that's kind of what I was doing. And I through this whole selling asphalt, I was able to meet a couple guys that I could trust, that I could take it to a job and be like, hey, what would you do here? And my what I was always good at is building rapport and then selling. So I would go, I would sell. I'd say, hey, let me bring my foreman back. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything. So I would bring someone over that had their own company and learn from them. Hey, what are you going to do here? How do you pave this? And they would tell me all the different things, the reasons and everything. And then I would go back to the homeowner and kind of spill it all back out. Hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And that's, it's fast transactions, right? You finish the job, you get paid. You finish the job, you get paid. And that's kind of what I needed at that point. I said, I can't go on some utility work contract. One, I didn't even own equipment. But two, those companies are 45, 60-day terms. So I had $0. So
Yeah.
I needed quick turnover of cash, just to try to start having some food on the table.
Yeah. It's funny. I've started, grown, and sold 5 companies, and did the 6th one. And I'll tell you, I've been in your place. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I think all business owners, when they start a business, and I think that what we do is we have illusions of grandeur, that something's going to be exactly a certain way, and then it just turns out not to be. And you started off your partnership. You thought this was going to be a great business venture. You invested everything into it that you had, because I know as a medical device salesperson, you make damn good money. And so you had a little bit of reserve, and you invest all that reserve into this business. And then you find yourself into this business with this partner that's not helping you, and you just don't understand enough what to do. But you got business educated real quick.
Yeah, there was
Far more than sitting in a college classroom.
yeah, there was a business owner that I ended up meeting here through all this. He's this Jewish businessman, very, very amazing businessman. He said that I was able to get my $500,000 hard knock degree. Uh, so he
It would be cheaper to go to college, you know?
exactly. He was like, "Yeah, you got your $500,000 degree," and so yeah, you're right. You know,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
but for me, that's it was things happen for a reason, and you look back now, it's kind of Dave Ramsey. One of the things he loves saying is, "We were a 6-year overnight success." You know,
Yep.
so
Yep.
people just see what it is now, but they don't see everything that you kind of had to go through the last 6 years to kind of get to where you're at. You're the 6-year overnight success.
Yeah, that's great. I love the story, and I love when you talked about it with me. So let's get into, because you had a few other things here. So you trusted this guy. What should people look at when they're doing a partnership? Really quick, what were the things that you didn't look at that you probably should have looked at?
I think one of the things would probably, I mean, I'm probably not the best one to give some advice on, like here's the best because I didn't do it right. I was always pretty trustworthy. Like I trust easily. So I would say one is probably do some due diligence with people that might know him, because if I over the years I've met some other people and that's kind of what they've done, says, hey, don't just meet with that person that you want to be a partner with. Go talk to friends of theirs that you might know and ask, because some of the friends might say, love the man, he's an amazing friend, but I wouldn't do business with them. So that's probably something that I would do. Is one is just do a little more research on who you're going in with.
Yeah.
They might be a great guy to go have a beer with and ask them questions, but probably not a good one to marry into a business.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. We're going to have to take another break because this is a live radio show. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. This is oh boy, I'm having a little trouble talking. I couldn't even say back. We'll be right back. And this is the Strategy Sherpa Show. This is David Chavez, and I'm here with Tim Dantas. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Strategy Sherpa Show with David Chavez. Have a question for David or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show.
Hey everyone, this is David Chavez. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show, and we're back with Tim Dantas. And right before break, Tim, you were talking about just trusting somebody a little too easily and a little too quickly, that you went into business partnership with, and the partnership didn't go well. You found out that it's probably not the best person to be in business with, even though you enjoyed him as a person, probably wasn't the best person to be in business with. And so that trust cost you a little bit because you didn't do due diligence. And what you just shared with everyone, that if you were going to do it differently today, you wouldn't have gotten into business with him that quickly. You would have talked to some of his friends and had personal conversations with them. I think that's better than like, hey, can you give an email, send an email and say, hey, do you trust this guy? Yes is the answer. You had a dialogue with these people. It would have probably been a little bit different, because they would have maybe shared with you that, hey, I like him too, but I probably wouldn't go into business with him. And I believe that that's true. A lot of people would probably have shared that with you at that time. And I love your consciousness around that.
Yeah, and when he was a friend, you trust the person, and then you things like this end up, you not only lose a bunch of money, but you lose a friendship also that kind of was pretty good one in the first place. So
Yeah,
you definitely want to have those conversations. I think if that's kind of what I tell people now that are talking about starting a business and they're going in with a partner. I say, hey, make sure you talk not just with that person because they're going to tell you everything you want to hear. Like talk with other people and what are their thoughts on that person if they were a business partner.
Yeah, and I would share with you, like you said to me, I'm not the best person. I made a mistake. I would say you are the best person to talk to now because you made the mistake. Your experience is coming from and not doing it well. And when we don't do something well, we actually do a lot of reflection on that. And I'm sure you did a lot of reflection when you're eating loaves of bread and maybe bologna for dinner.
Yeah.
You did a lot of reflecting during that time.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
definitely. Definitely a lot of reflecting.
Yeah. So in this whole situation that ended up happening, because to open up a plant that's manufacturing asphalt, that's pretty capital intensive right at the beginning. And you had said that you invested too much, borrowed money instead of using money that you were willing to lose in this venture. And I love when you said that to me, it like really impacted me the way you said it. So elaborate a little bit on what happened here.
Yeah, so you hear people, business at the end of the day, you can do all your due diligence, you can do all of that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still a gamble, right? Like you're opening the business, you have a business plan, you prepare for everything. But when you go play poker, you have a great plan. You might have studied poker, you have done everything, but it's still gambling. So when you go in there, you got to be able to be willing to lose the money. So what I did, I had some savings and then I borrowed a lot, but a lot for me at the time. For some of your listeners, it might not be a lot, but it ended up being several hundred thousands of dollars. And I banks don't get big by being dumb, right? So they leverage everything that you have, right? They 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 make you sign personal guarantees. Like those are things that I was just signing because I was so excited about the business. So I signed everything, and then my wife was like, "What is it?" To say, hey, I just signed it, So but when things go wrong, now they're coming after your home, they're coming after your assets, they're coming after your car. Like there's this thing, oh, you just claim bankruptcy and you're out free and clear, but it's not. It's we had to make a decision. Okay, what do we do if you do a bankruptcy? Now you're gonna lose everything, because they have you all tied up. The banks have you all tied up.
Yeah,
and or do we fight through it? So that was the conversation that my wife and I had. Was like, okay, what do we do? We are $500,000 in debt, and to several entities, not just one, and then some personal money that we borrow. Do we fight through it, or do we just go a bankruptcy route and kind of reset? But now you lose everything. Now you're moving your family, you're moving back to an apartment, you're doing whatever it is. And we decided both to like let's fight through this and try to persevere. We believe that if these entities trusted us with the money, we should at least try to honor and paying them back. And that's the beauty about a business. If you just have being a business owner, if you just have your job, you will look, okay, I make $100,000 a year. It's going to take me, if I don't do anything, it's going to take me 5 years to pay $500,000 back, right? But you have all your different expenses. The beauty about owning a business is if that business takes off, you can pretty quickly start generating revenue that you can pay back some of that debt. And, with us, once we found our niche and we started like working through it, within 11 months, we were able to pay off all the $500,000 that we owed. So,
yeah, we had a guy named Frank Martin on. It was probably in February of this year, and he's a contractor guy, and he was talking about the same thing that you're talking about right now. He got a little over his skis right at first and borrowed a little bit too much money, and he is a very strong believer in God, and he was like, I am not going to dishonor my word. I am going to go and I'm going to talk to each one of these people. And he sat down with the bank face to face and said, I will pay you back. And
Yeah.
he said, I might not be able to write you a check for 6 months, but I'm going to pay you back every cent that you lent me. And if you just trust me. And he was way behind the eight ball. And it sounds like you were in a similar situation.
I was in the exact situation. I actually met with the same people. I met with the people we borrowed from. I had to meet with the bank, literally sat in their big conference room with their granite table that's, and like six bankers and VPs sitting around me. And they're
And
like,
you could
okay,
say,
how do
and
we
you were
get
sitting there going, "Holy cow! If I just had this table, I could sell it and eat for another 2 weeks."
exactly? it was wild. And they were all sitting there, and I'm just like, look, I just need more time. I will figure it out. I just need more time. Just give me more time. But at the end, when I look back at all of this, I say, if I didn't have those pressures, would I have built what I was able, we were able to build here? And I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know the exact answer to it, because God has a plan at the end, anyways. But those pressures make you definitely like look at different routes. Okay, how do I get this money back? And that's
Yep.
when I start selling jobs and subbing work out. I start flipping houses. My wife went and got her real estate license. I was, doing pretty much anything I could, like sign up to like anything. I was remodeling people's kitchens, like anything that I could make a buck. I was going out and trying to get some money in.
Yeah, you weren't sitting back being a victim of all the things that had happened to you. You were going out and becoming a creator and thriver, going, hey, I know who I am. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of my word. I'm going to do all these things. Not easy to do. And a lot of people don't do that in this day and age. But I can tell you right now, I already know you have a lot of people who trust you a lot now, because they know your word is your bond. So,
Yeah.
so it does
And,
create that environment for yourself.
yeah, and now, because all of our team here knows the story and they know what we had to do and the perseverance we had to go to put in to build what we have built now. So they look at it like, okay, if things right now everything is amazing, but at some point we could see a downturn. Every business kind of goes through these rolling hills, and I think for me is in over in Dallas they talked a lot about trust, and I think for me what's more important is that they trust that if things once we do hit a downslope because of the history and what we had to do to even get here, they know that like we're not just going to kind of lay down, shut the business, and move on. We're going to persevere and fight through it to catch the next upswing. So
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
that's a little more important. The team, having your team knowing that you have that you have their back. Like you're not going to let this thing go down.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up too. And, that businesses go through these flows, right? Of ups and downs and ups and downs. And usually it comes at stages of growth too. And the economy can be a reason that it happens, but also it's as we're growing because we want that. You and I are both entrepreneurs to the nth degree. We want more and more and more, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes with more and more and more, I can grow too fast. And I literally run out of money. And a lot of people don't think of that. I know that when I owned my CPA firm, I share with people, I almost went bankrupt twice just because I didn't really understand this as well as I should have during the time. And it would have been great David Chavez, CPA, bankrupt twice. Come use him for your accounting firm or for your firm. It'd have been great advertising, right? So, but let's just say this. So you built the trust. You understand that there's cycles in business. So you're careful with your money not to get over committed too much. You can you can commit yourself a little bit, and then you don't believe in debt in the business, do you now?
No, I struggle with that quite a bit. I have some, but I struggle with that almost daily, like just looking at it and being like, oh man, I could pay another employee if I didn't have this two trucks.
Right.
But yeah, I have some, but it's not really anything that we can't take care of.
Yeah.
We're in it's a safe debt.
But you're growing into DC. You're going to do that organically with your own money. Yep. So you're doing it a lot differently this time. And I just wanted to commend you to that. Tim, your time on the show has been great. And you've given us some valuable lessons that I think people really need to understand. So I love that you talked about the partnership. I love that you talked about trust quite a bit. And then really talking a little bit about money and getting yourself into a little bit of problem and getting yourself out. I really have a lot of respect for people who do it the way you did it. And I love that you sat down with people and were honest with them and you got them all paid back. And that's really commendable for you. Mr. Pave in Lynchburg, Virginia, right? Did you say?
Yes, sir.
Lynchburg, Virginia. Yep. Hey, Tim, well, thanks for visiting us today. We appreciate you bringing on the show.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, this is the Strategy Sherpa Show. We'll be right back after this messages.
Welcome back to the Strategy Sherpa Show with David Chavez. Have a question for David or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show.
Hey, everyone. This is David Chavez. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show, and I'm going to wrap this show up. We just had Tim Dantas with us, and wow, wasn't he great guest? I mean, I'm thinking he's going to be in my top 10 guest of all time. And when I first started talking to him, I knew this was going to happen because he just talks so candidly and so much from the heart. He's genuine. You can actually feel how genuine he is when you're talking to him, and really enjoyed the conversation. So there's some things that he said that were really interesting. So he was in the medical device business. He gets out of that business because he knows he wants to do something on his own. He obviously has an amazing wife also that allowed him to go out and pursue his dream. He decided he was going to get into the manufacturing of asphalt business. He gets into a partnership with some guy he met. Like he said, he trusts people easily. On a disc profile, we call these people high eyes. They're highly interactive people. One of the challenges they have with their life generally is they trust people a little too much, but they're the people who create spirit decor too. So inside of a company, so they're really important inside of a company. They're really important for motivation and for keeping the company going. But he took that trust and he trusted the partner that he set this business up with, thought he was going to be invested with them. They did a 50-50 partner, just a little bit shy of it. And I was happy to hear that he didn't do a 50-50 partnership because he owned just a little bit more of it, but that made him a little bit more liable too. But when he started this and he did this deal, he realized he's in with the wrong person, and the business ends up spiraling out of control and ends up dying. Now his family has lost everything. And he said, as he told us, he is literally checking things to see if the price tag was still on it or the scan code so that they could try to get a refund. That's crazy, just so they could eat. And I've been there myself starting a business, and I know that's not easy to do, but great humility. And then he went and visited every single person he owed, and he sat down with them and made a plan with them to get them paid back. And he, like he said, he was doing anything he could to get money together. He didn't worry about his pride, his ego. What he did is he just did what he had to do to feed his family for a while. He starts this paving company, realizes that there's a lot of money in holes, and the utility companies need somebody to patch these holes once they get done with their work. And they couldn't find anybody reliable. He just started becoming very reliable, showing up, doing some of the things that the businesses in their industry were not doing. And it's so funny because go into so many businesses, they say, well, you don't know how this business works. Well, it's pretty simple in the end. You just got to listen to your customers and listen to what they're saying. And I think that's what he did. And it was really great to hear how he got past all this. I think him and Frank Martin had quite a bit in common in the sense of that they both borrowed a little bit too much money. And Frank Martin was a guest I had in February of 2024, excuse me. He talked about it the same way, where he had to sit down in front of people and admit his mistakes. So also, he talked about one last thing at the very end that was really important. His business goes in cycles, and this is so true. I talk to a lot of business owners when their business is on the up cycle, and I'm talking to them about maybe helping them scale to the next level, and they'll go, oh, no, we're good right now. Yeah, you're good right now, but that doesn't mean you're going to be good all the time. How are you going to handle it when you start to not be good? That's where we really come in and help businesses, and we take them to the next level without maybe going through that downturn, or the downturn's a lot, the slope is a lot less going down. And so it was really interesting how he was talking about his awareness of that, because as a new business owner, we often don't think that way. We think we're invisible. We think we're going to last forever. We think everything is going to be fine forever. And then the water starts going out, the tide starts going out, and then we can start seeing some of the things that are going wrong in the business. And a lot of times when we're doing really well, one of the biggest things that happens inside of a business is complacency settles in. And when complacency settles in, it takes a while for complacency to get back out of your business once it starts. And I would tell you that we work with a lot of companies, help them get them past that stage, because it involves change. And change is never easy. It's requiring you to do things in a different way that you did them before. And maybe it involves getting people's brains away from what they think is the thing that's working to the thing that they need to do to really make things work correctly. And there's a big difference between those two things. And this is a very this downturn issue is something he got a hold of and now understands. And he's a lot more careful with money because of it. All right. Well, I appreciate Tim coming on. I wanted to share with you a new service that we've offered to our clients and to people out there in the public, actually. If you own a business and you own a business over $1 million, we invite you to get on our website. It's assuredstrategy.com. And we have a resources tab up at the top. And down at the resources tab, there's a free offers little thing there. And you can click on that. And when you click on that, we'll actually do a business valuation for you. If you just put in a few pieces of information, it'll give you a down and dirty business valuation, and we'll actually send that over to you. If you want to put in some more information and get a little more in depth with it, we can actually get you a a pinpointed valuation. And these aren't valuations you can take to a bank or valuations you can take to the IRS, but it does help you understand where your value of your business is at. A lot of people, when they start a business, what they say is they're going to sell it. And this is what Tim said when he started business. I want to create something that could one day be passed down to my kids or be sold. Those two things are vastly different. And one of the things I say to business owners is you should really understand the business value of your business and monitor it just like you do your financial statements. Probably once a year, you should have these valuations done. So we decided to offer these free to help business owners out there really pay attention to their value. So, I make that offer to you. And don't forget our events that we have coming up. And the biggest one is on June 25th in San Diego. We have a few tickets left, not too many. And we would love to have you. We only take 20 reservations to these things. And we're hopefully getting about 15 people actually showing up is what usually happens. So we'd love to have you. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show. This is David Chavez, and we appreciate you being here with us today. Get on our website, check out the resources, the free offers, and just click on that free offers link, and you'll see the valuation thing. All you got to do is put in a few pieces of information. It'll spit out and give you a little valuation back right there. And we look forward to seeing you over there doing that so you can get an idea of what your business is worth. Thank you very much for joining us today.